Good day, folks. What am I doing over here? This is what I'm doing over here. Right, solo show. This morning, I always have these funky visuals up on these solo shows. Biggest transfer rumor coming out this morning or last night and this morning, you could say. OSIMHEN to Spurs. Wow, some may say. Crazy. £120 million player. One of the players of the season last year. Won the Scudetto last year. We're going to get into that shortly. I want to say good day, folks. Plasterer hasn't arrived, as you can see. 3 days away. Wait. 4 days away. 4 days away until Spurs are back against Villa, 2 p.m. live. I can't wait. This international break seems to have gone on forever. The international breaks in general this season seem to have gone on forever. But Christmas is coming. This is the final one. Here up until mid-January now. There are no international breaks. It's going to get busy. The schedule is going to get crazy. 3 games a week. The final 2 weeks in December. Yeah, it's going to be madness. Lots of turkey, lots of mince pies. Probably followed up by a disappointing transfer window at Spurs. Usually the case, although last 2 years haven't been bad. Porro, Kulusevski, Bentancur. More luck than judgment, I think. But anyway, we can hope. We can hope there's a big January transfer window. We'll keep talking about transfers on this show regardless. Loads of other rumours too coming through. Rafinha, Romero, which I didn't get a chance to really give my own view on Tuesday night show. And I'll be doing that. Get in the chat. Give me your own views. But before you do, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the super chats. All helps support the channel. Just liking and subscribing makes a big difference. And it's free. Right. Before we get on to OSIMHEN, I'll try and make this as interactive as possible, seeing as I am going solo. It's very difficult to go through the entire chat on the guest streams, especially when you've got very talkative guests. But let's see what people are saying. Big up, ladies and gents. The OSIMHEN rumours are crazy, but I'd have him too. I'm going to throw it out there now. I would take him. I'm sure Levy has £100 million floating about. I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has. Morning, everyone. Dan. Respect. RJR Jones. Big up, T. How you doing, RJR? Good morning to you, Tommy. Still feeling that 80s intro. It's banging, isn't it? It's banging. Very different. I don't know if you've seen if you're ever here for the countdown. But very, very different. But I enjoy it just the same. I don't do Christmas. I don't blame you. I try to sleep through it. But the football good. The football side of it's good, isn't it? The game's coming thick and fast. Not when you've got our depth, but it's exciting. I don't like turkeys. No. Bit more of a. Is it Goose man? Tottenham. Fubar. If you ignore the guest, you can go through the chat. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Sometimes. Where did you find this link? Where did you find this link in a Brothers Grimm fairy tale book? Link? What do you mean? Something to do with this back wall? Yeah, we need plastering. Where did you find this link? Oh, right, the link of the rumour. Oh, right, I was wondering what you're on about, Daryl. Yeah, this is doing the rounds. Daily Mail, Football 365, among others, lots and lots of papers reporting it last night. So I had it prepared for today. But there are lots of reports. Big up, Tommy. Mark Cousins. What's happening, my man? OSIMHEN. I kept spelling OSIMHEN wrong. I had OSHMEN. This is how you spell it. Hopefully, we have to get used to it as Spurs. But initially reported by Spurs Web. Ridiculous. Look, I've got a few people. I know a few people, fellow streamers that write for Spurs Web. Not that have YouTube channels, but come on YouTube channels as guests. They write for Spurs Web. It's just a fan rumour mill, quite frankly. But when you've got the other papers coming in as well, it's worth talking about. The very first sentence through the sources is that we're leading the race in front of Chelsea. Great player. Could be made for the Prem He is coming to the Premier League. 100% he's coming to the Premier League. Whether it's in January, whether it's in the summer, he is on his way. He's only got his contract's only there till 2025. He's only got 18 months. So if Napoli don't sell in January, they'll have to sell in the summer because there's no way he's signing a new contract. Not with what's gone down at Napoli. Just in terms of his traits and his strengths, if you don't watch much Serie A, so strong on the ball, can hold it up, unbelievably quick, lightning quick, can get in behind with ease. His greatest strength, though, is probably his aerial ability. He scores a lot of headers. He wins everything in the air. Even in a more defensive league like Serie A, with great headers of the ball, big centre-backs, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" centre-backs. He's winning predominantly of the aerial challenges. He's well known for it. 6'2". He's just built. If you wanted the perfect striker in terms of physical prowess and traits, this is the guy. This really is. And his goal scoring record speaks for itself. I've said for a while on recent shows, on recent streams, last few months, that he will be going to Chelsea. I watch a lot of Serie A. I got a funny thing. He's going to Chelsea. They need a striker. I know Nicholas Jackson scored a few recently, but he's not an out-and-out striker. This winter or the summer, I think he will go to Chelsea. He seems desperate for a move in January, as Napoli social media team have done some real stupid things, some questionable racist stuff. The thing is, in Italy, you won't throw your toys at the pram. You won't go on strike. Put it that way, because the Serie A, you can't really, especially with the Napoli ultras, they'll come find you. You know, they will get you. They don't mess about. Fans in general, but Napoli and Lazio, they're the strictest. Yeah, they don't mess about. So as I said, just a year and a half left on his contract. With the fallout, I reckon he could go for his transfer market value, which is 120 million euros. Maybe slightly above, maybe slightly less. I don't think it'll be too much above, because of that 18 months left on his contract. 120 million euros. Will he spend 120 million euros even if he had the chance to sign him, even if he was willing to accept the contract we'd offer him, for example. He's picked up a few injuries this season. 8 games, 6 goals. Last season, incredible, where he won the Scudetto for Napoli. Almost, I don't want to say single-handedly, the left winger and Kim Min-jae in the defence had an equal part of it. I can't, Kvashvili. He and Osimhen were the main 2 attackers that took him there. And then Dombele, of course, they look for 10 minutes a game. So last season, 32 games, 26 goals, 5 assists in the league. Champions League, 6 games, 5 goals. I tell you what, he was signed for big money when he turned up at Napoli 3 or 4 years ago. They don't spend stupid amounts of money in Napoli, 20, 30 million pounds, max 30 million pounds, I'd say. He went for 60 million pounds. 60 million, I think it was from Lille. Smashing it at Lille. Money well spent. They won a Scudetto, and they might get double now. Looking around Europe, this is why I say I think he'll come to the Premier League, regardless of whether he comes to Spurs or not. About 2% chance he'll come to Spurs. So Real Madrid want Mbappe this summer. Well documented. They wanted him for a few years. Barcelona have no money. Kane went to Bayern Munich. So Bayern, Barca, Real Madrid, they're out of it. Juventus have got no money either. Biggest club in Italy still. PSG signed Gonçalo Ramos and Mawani, strikers in the summer. They won't be getting him. Nobody else in France can afford him. This guy's Premier League bound. We're not spending 120 million. And Son looks pretty good as a striker anyway. If Osimhen, let's just say, crazy theory, Osimhen came in January, it would demote Son back to the left wing. And I just don't think he's got the legs for the left wing these days. We saw it last season. He just wasn't himself. 31, 32 years old. Just can't see it. In the order of the clubs I think he'll go to, Chelsea, number 1. Arsenal, who for some reason love Nketiah. I hope they keep loving Nketiah, because that could be the difference between them winning the league and not winning the league, as far as I'm concerned. Man United were linked in the summer. They decided to go for Højlund. Why would you go for Højlund over OSIMHEN and Kane? They could have signed both, and both would have accepted the contracts. Liverpool and transfermarket.com are the most linked, are the highest probability, which is a rumour I've not seen before. Darwin Núñez is not exactly smashing it up there. And, of course, us today in the newspapers. Still, even with the Son situation, I'd give my left leg to get him. He's no spring chicken, Son. OSIMHEN's 7 years younger, 24 years old. Regardless of whether we get this guy or go for this guy or not, we need a striker badly. Real badly. Because, as I said, I think Son will be 32 years old at the start of next season. Crazy. Okay, Romero for Rafinha rumour. Another crazy one, quite frankly, you could say. But what I'll do is I'll go in the chat first, see what people are saying. Make sure you smash a like if you haven't already done so. I'm finding the Premier League. I'm finding the Premier League. Here we go. WTP. Oh man, I've got to use the page is going to go mad. New table. I'm finding the Premier League VAR and all the drama of clubs breaking these stupid rules to an endless, boring drama. It is boring, isn't it? It really is. I'm not enjoying the Premier League anymore. It's turning into Comedy Central in a bad way. I used to watch a lot of the games. Now I just watch 2 minute highlights on YouTube of each of the games. I can't even bother to do that most of the time. I think there are other great leagues. I think the Championship you can still watch great football. I think Serie A is still very good football, but money's just completely overtaken the Premier League. Players don't even look bothered. Morning, bruv. Audio. What's going on? Spurs sign OSIMHEN. It is ridiculous. It is a ridiculous notion. Not a chance in hell. Wow, the paper talk and rumour mill is on total and utter overdrive. It's there though. Type it into Google. You'll see the rumours. Hope you're all good, Tommy, brother. I'm very, very good. Ryan Dago, although it is very, very cold. Not as cold as it probably is in Canada side, let's say. Long gone now, signing these types of players. All this new stuff, I find the rough diamonds on the cheap. That's what we're doing, apparently. Spending not much money on players doesn't mean you're trying to find rough diamonds. It might just be that you're just not spending much money. You're being tight. You pick 1 or 2 gems out, but I think the chances are you'd get a better caliber of player if you spent money than didn't spend money. But it's a good excuse not to spend money. We're going to look for unhidden gems. I can see the FA forcing Premier League clubs to sign WWF characters just to add more drama. Hope everyone in the chat is well. One of the world's best coming to Spurs in January? I don't think so. Only read this comment when you're reading it. Is that Slovakian playmaker still Napoli? Hamsik. Hamsik went years ago. He's a very, very good player, if that's what you mean. Or there's another attacking mid. I think he's Polish. Yeah, Polish. He's very, very good. So I think Hamsik. I think you're talking about Hamsik. If we sign OSIMHEN, that means tickets, beer, food. We all get double in the stadium. Yeah, you're probably right, Mark. You're probably right, man. Lloyd Kelly incoming. I'm going to touch on that shortly. For Chelsea, please. Right. Okay, Romero Rafinha rumour. I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly. As I say, I brought this to my guest on Tuesday night show. Didn't really get a chance to give my own view. One word: insanity. Absolute insanity. And it's insane that people even claiming that people even wanting this to happen, even considering it, and there are fans considering it, quite a few. Which boggles me. It gives me. It's a mind boggle. Let's say. I can't think of the word. It's just why in God's name would you swap Rafinha for Romero, especially in January? Tiny chance it could happen in the summer as well. Okay, let's look at some facts. Romero supports Barcelona. He would definitely make the move if given the opportunity. Rafinha's best days were in the Premier League at Leeds. I think him leaving and Calvin Phillips leaving was a big part to them going down last season, Leeds. So his best days were in the Premier League. Some say he wouldn't come to Spurs. I think he would. I actually think he would. He's on about 250 grand a week, 260 grand a week. I think Barcelona would cover about 60, 70 grand of those wages just to get him off the books if they really do want Romero. So we could pay him 170, 180 grand a week. That's sort of in our bracket. So I think he would come to Spurs. But in 9 league games this season for Barca, he started just 2 games. We're getting a reject, basically. And we know how key Romero is. We've seen that in the last game. We saw it, obviously, when he got sent off against Chelsea. You know, going down to 10 minutes, doesn't matter who goes off. It's going to be trouble. But just Romero's qualities in general in the previous 10 games have been so key. He makes Van der Ven look twice as good for me. And he was given our captain's armband, vice captain's armband. And it looked like his levels have gone up. His maturity had gone up. First 10 games of the season, almost faultless. Just the big games he struggles in. Man United, he was good, but Arsenal, he was poor. His worst performances this season were Arsenal and Chelsea. Are probably our 2 biggest games, certainly our 2 biggest derbies. And Chelsea's, you know, double. I call it a double sending off that Romero got against Chelsea. The silly kick, could have got sent off for that if the officials saw it. He would have got sent off for that. And then the challenge, I thought it was a relatively harsh red card because he won the ball, but you put your feet up like that, you're going to get red cards. It's just that's how the league is now. That's how football is these days, especially the Premier League. He can't keep doing it. And while he keeps doing it, I don't think the big clubs are going to be looking to spend 60, 70, 80 million on him anyway. Okay, player had a good game against Brazil. He's had 8 or 9 great games for us this season. But the big clubs will avoid signing him if he's doing this in the big games. If it was a Barcelona team of Brazil team of old and it was in the World Cup, okay, great performance. But the big games, you can't keep doing this. We lost him for 3 games. Villa is a second or a 3-game ban. We're going to lose him for that. We're going to lose him for City too. Such a big part of this team. Just, it's not his fault that we got a lack of depth behind him. It's not his fault. But at the same time, these continuously stupid red cards are costing us. And I think it will cost him, as I said, a big move anyway. So I'm definitely not down for this Rafinha Romero move either way. It doesn't make sense right winger for a centre back. We've actually got a lot of wingers, just a hell of a lot of them are injured. But you know what, Rafinha, I love watching Rafinha, who's probably my favourite player in the league. When Maximin was on it as well, those two are the most brutal on defenders. Like, they can leave him for dead, and just defenders lose their bearings when they're coming up against those two a lot of the time. He is a sight to behold when he's on it. Rafinha, unplayable. Okay, someone mentioned. Well, let's get in the comments before we go to our the next one. Let's take this out for a second. Go full picture. You can really see how bad our unplastered walls are. They are getting plastered, I promise. He had a white. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he went quite a few years ago. I don't know where he went. I can't remember where he went. I think he went to like MLS or China, something like that, Saudi Arabia. The only way a Spurs fan can see Osimhen at Spurs is for a PlayStation console. I think you're right. Spurs getting Barca rejects. Never. Longley might be up against Longley on the weekend. I'll come into that later. I'm going to look at the Villa game in a bit more depth. Or probably not, because Longley isn't getting any game time for Barcelona. So much so that they're going to cancel his loan deal. So the one centre-back that we got under Antonio Conte, the one centre-back was the loan signing of Longley. You can't get a game at Villa. That goes to show the support that Conte didn't get. It's not up for debate. He was not supported in any way, shape or form. Tommy, Spurs once showed interest in Anderson at Palace. What do you think about him? If you look at the stats, a lot of people are saying he's got the best stats in the league. I'm not a stats man. Not for defence. Not for defenders. No chance. But just in general, he's a very good player. He's a fantastic player. He was very good at Fulham. He was actually very good at Sampdoria. As I said, I watch a lot of Serie A football. Very, very good back in the day for Sampdoria. Lyon signed him for big money, 20, 25 million pounds, which for them these days is a lot of money. He went on loan to Fulham, didn't he? Become their captain within a few months, even though they got relegated. Made the move to Palace, and he's been brilliant ever since. Him and Guahi, very good. They were very good against us. We were lucky in multiple games this season. We've been lucky to come out with victories. That was another one where we were a lot better in the second half. First half, Palace were better than us, by far the better team. And I think their centre backs have a big part to play in that. Anderson and Guahi. He's a good player. He's a very good player. I'll probably prefer Guahi because we need homegrown players. The issue is you've got an English tax. Guahi being English probably costs 50, 60 million, Anderson 40, 50 million. But Palace would be insane to sell him anyway. This is the thing. Premier League clubs these days, they don't need to sell. And if they do sell their best players, they're going to ask for 50, 60 million pounds. Doesn't matter how lowly they are. Like you can say Palace are never going to win the league. They're never going to get into Europe probably. But they still get 200 million pounds, 160, 170 million pounds to be precise, just for staying in the league. All the clubs in the Premier League got money. I'm racking Barcelona would buy Romero because he's linked with Messi. They would buy him. Yeah, I mean, Messi talks him up a lot. But to be fair, as good as Messi is, great as Romero is, Messi is. Romero is an attacker's defender. So Messi will probably say he's the best centre back ever because he comes out with the ball and supplies Messi. Not many centre backs do that. Doesn't mean he's the best centre back. It just means that he's an attacking centre back. Don't get me wrong, Romero's great, but I don't think Barcelona are going to literally just sign him because of Messi. If Messi was at the club, perhaps, but it's not the case. They'd pay 40, 50 million for him, but I don't think the clubs are going to spend what Levy wants, 70, 80 million pounds. And a lot of fans are saying he's worth 70, 80 million pounds too. Just don't see it. Not with these rash challenges. If you could go a season of getting just one red card or a couple of really bad decisions, you'd be all right. But we're like 11 games in. Our 11th game, he's already made two horrific decisions against Chelsea. Let's see if he comes back. I've got a feeling this could knock his confidence as well, getting that sending off, because he probably thought to himself, do you know what? I've been overly rash the last few years. Let's calm it down a little bit. He goes and does this, and I think his confidence will sort of be a little bit diminished at Spurs, although I suppose for Argentina, it looked good. Hopefully not. Hopefully he comes back and just puts it behind him, Romero, because we know he's a very, very good defender and a key man to have alongside Van der Ven. Although Van der Ven won't be there for 3 months. Philly 2109. How you doing, my friend? Big up Tommy in the chat. I do like these fair weather players like Rafinha and Tapsoba before him. When we get to Jan, the quality will go down. I'm just watching speed and positioning in the window. Tapsoba's quality. Tapsoba's both footed as well. Any player, especially centrally, centre back, centre mid, cam, striker, who's both footed is worth their weight in gold. So I wanted Tapsoba over Van der Ven because I never really saw Van der Ven play. I think I saw him play once against Bayern Munich. So in the other leagues, I just watched some of the big games. That's it. And yeah, I didn't really see a great deal at that point, but that's one game. Tapsoba, I see plenty of times in the Champions League. Or was it Europa League last season? I think it's Europa League for Leverkusen. They got quite far. And he looks the business. Leverkusen in general got fantastic centre-backs. Hincapi, they play a three at the back system and they're top of the Bundesliga, aren't they? With Xabi Alonso, they play Hincapi left centre-back or left wing-back. Jonathan Tah, central centre-back, who Newcastle are interested. Jonathan Tah is very good too. Big guy, 6'4". Honestly, he must weigh about 16, 17 stone. Easily, like a bodybuilder, Jonathan Tah. So Newcastle know about centre-backs. They've done very well with Botman. I'd be looking at Tah and Tapsoba, to be honest. Or either of them. Will we sign 2 centre-backs in January? Will we sign 1? That's got to be the key. That has to be the key. That's got to be the first target, surely. Getting a centre-back in. Window, we get rated 8. Whoever we get, been there, got the T-shirt. Yeah, it's always 8, 9. This summer's was an 8 or a 9. Summer before was amazing summer because we signed a player for in the first 2 weeks of the window for the first time in like 5 years. The summer previously when we signed Richarlison, everyone was saying this is an 8, 9 out of 10 window. It was a shocking window in the end, and we didn't sign a single. We started well. We didn't sign a single player for the last 6 weeks of the 21-22 window. Only Udogie, who went out on loan, so we didn't see him. No one for the first team in the last 6 weeks of that window. So, and that was Jed Spence. Jed Spence, mid-July, up until the end of August, we never signed a single player. And Jed Spence didn't start a single Premier League game. And he's crap. Or at least he's got an attitude issue, which means he's not excelling. Just want to make clear that Anderson could be a rotation cover player at Spurs, not necessarily first choice. That's not a good sell to him, though, is it? Anderson, you're going to come in and you're going to be rotation option, or you're at Palace and the first team. If it's Man City, if he's going Man City to be third choice, maybe that's different. But to be third choice at Romero and Van der Ven, to be fair, he'd get game time, because I'll tell you now, Van der Ven's going to keep getting these injuries with his pace. Romero's probably going to keep getting banned, so you would get game time. How much do you think it will cost, Benjamin? I think Joshua Anderson, you're looking at 40, 50 million pounds. He'll sign for about 20, 25. Frimpong looks very, very good. Rapid as well. Osimhen, not worth it. Elite leagues, he's below average, under 20 goals all competition. That's just the numbers. As an impact player, needs too much support, and we know support for players doesn't exist. So he scored 26 goals in the league last season. 5 in the Champions League. I watched him play plenty. He's an outstanding individual. Holding up the ball aerially, scores a lot of headers. So strong aerially, which could be brilliant with Maddison putting balls into the box. Porro even has great set pieces. And we're lacking a striker. You know, Son's been good, but he's going to be 32 next season. We need to be proactive looking at a striker. And they don't come much better than Osimhen in the current market. Not for me. I don't know a better player than Osimhen that we could potentially sign, but at a lower club, a club that is that we could attract players from. If we get Champions League this season, I think we could attract players from Napoli. They're fourth at the moment, Napoli, but we won't spend the money. And if he's got better options, he'd go elsewhere. But as a player, I'd take him. My instinct is about 40 million. 40. Yeah, he's 2 years older, isn't he? I think he's about 27, 28. I think in this market, as a Premier League club, I think they'd want at least 50. It's more likely. Right. Let's have a look at. Actually, I'm going to go to Mr. Jermaine Defoe first, because this has to be talked about. He's doing the rounds. So I'll take a look at this situation in a bit more depth. It will take Levy a life sentence in prison for some fans to be critical of him. I'm convinced of this. Not even exaggerating. I wouldn't even call those fans dumb. If you're one of them in the chat, I'm not calling you dumb. I'm just saying it's a few fans that are easily led, or just haven't been watching football as much as others. Levy's a con artist. He always has been a con artist. Many people saying that nothing will come of this. I'm not so sure about that. It seems pretty big time to me. It's all over the news. The fact that it's come back from 15 years ago seems crazy. But the fact that they've gone back that far makes me believe there must be something very, very fishy going on here. There must have been some crazy shit going down with this situation, this Defoe situation. So here's the story. Here's the main story. The FA have confirmed that they were looking to the transfer of former Tottenham Hotspur striker Jermaine Defoe when he joined Portsmouth back in 2008, as per the Times newspaper. The outlet investigated the move for 2 years, claiming that allegations have been made of potentially serious breaches of agent rules. It is claimed that Defoe, Spurs chairman Daniel Levy, and Harry Redknapp, who was Pompey boss at the time, all dealt with an unlicensed agent during the negotiations. The FA decided at the time that they would not take action against the Lily Whites, but the governing body has now revealed it will be looking into the case. An FA statement on Wednesday read, "We are looking into the case, and as part of that, we'll be reviewing the arbitration panel award at the arbitration hearing over the deal with the former England international. Panel of 3 QCs found that Mitchell Thomas, who was said unlicensed agent, was a central figure in the transfer." Right, I'm not going to read any further. Bit boring, but I'll tell you what, in terms of Levy himself, I could write a novel on how he is a con man. Con the fans more than anything. He's certainly done a lot of dodgy shit that fans are perfectly okay with. I mean, highest season ticket prices in Europe, or certainly the top three in Europe. Highest single ticket prices now. I think there's 15% increase at the start of the season. He was going to put the bloody season ticket prices up again. And look at the last 4 seasons where these rises have come into place. Just look. No trophy. We know no trophy. We haven't had a trophy for 16 years. So 6th 4 years ago, then 7th, then 4th with Conte, who was the least supported manager for me in the transfer market. He still managed to get us 4th, 6th, 7th, 4th, and then 8th last season. And these prices keep increasing, whether it's season ticket or single ticket prices. It's a con man. Joe Lewis, just this year, very dangerous insider trading trial, following a £300 million bond in the case. But apparently our cleaners are so clean. It's bullshit. Another one, Lewis will not step foot in South America. There's still protests to this day from Argentinians. He tore down rainforests to build his facilities, to build a runway in Argentina. We are not clean cut from it. Do your research on Joe Lewis. It's there for all to see with Daniel Levy. It truly is. 1 trophy in 23 years and he charges the highest season ticket prices. More off-pitch events than any other club in the Premier League by a country mile, and he still doesn't inject it into the squad a great deal. You've got £300-400 million to spend every summer. Easily. A couple of news channels are saying that the verdict, the outcome, could be relegation for this, especially if they find multiple situations of dodgy agents, and that could very well spend the end of Levy, I suppose. Would you be happy with relegation, Spurs fans, if it meant getting rid of Levy? It's a debate worth having, and I think some of the deep Levy outers, if Brian Daigle's in there, might. I don't know what Daigle would say. I don't know what Stell would say. I don't know what Haz would say, some of the deepest Levy outers. What do you think in the comments? I'm not naive enough to think that this will result in a straight relegation. No chance. Points deduction, perhaps 10 points like Luton got for their dodgy agent situation a couple of years back. Maybe a transfer ban, which would delight Levy. You'd love it. You'd love a transfer ban. Any excuse not to go into the transfer market, not having to spend any money. He will fucking love it. He'd be jumping for joy. Chelsea went mad when they had the 18-month transfer ban. I think we had the 18-month transfer ban as well, but ours wasn't implicated. We just decided not to sign any players for 3 windows. I don't think that's going to bother us or bother Levy, that's for sure. I don't want anything like this to go against Spurs. Transfer ban, 10-point deduction. But if it helped move ENIC on, I'm down for it. I'm 100% down for it. But not relegation. I would never want Spurs relegated. No chance. We can deal with a transfer ban. We can deal with a 10-point deduction. But I'll never, ever wish Spurs to get relegated. I see what it done to Leeds, a big club in this country. They couldn't get promoted for till 2018 or 19 was it when they got promoted back. 15, 16 years away for a big club. We would get back sooner because of the money, but no, I wouldn't wish relegation on Spurs. No way. But we need ENIC out. We need Levy out. They are con men. Con men. This will be the start of some stories that come out. Got Paratici, the dodgiest bloke in Italy. I guarantee he's still a consultant. He's been banned from fucking transfer negotiations, all transfer negotiations, scouting in Italy, which is one of the dodgiest places in the world. Probably the dodgiest place, football-wise. Certainly in Europe. And he stands out as the dodgiest, Paratici. We've got dodgy owners. We're not clean cut, like people say. Everyone has a go to Saudi owners. We are not clean cut. Do your research on Joe Lewis. People that haven't. No, that can't happen. We can't be relegated. That'd be crazy. We don't know. It was just the story that was released this week, so we don't know. So before we get to the next topic, a few more transfer rumours. Please smash us a like. We're only on 17 likes. I know it's a weird time. 11 a.m, 11:15 I started. So it's very difficult to get people watching. But as long as the chat's there, I'm happy. I'm going to go through the chat again in a second, but please make sure you smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. It really does make a difference. Right, okay, let's get in the chat. See what people are saying. My instinct's about 40 minutes. I agree, Tommy. Tara is a brilliant centre half, as is Tapsoba. He's a genuine first team competition places. I lowered my expectations as long as it doesn't take 4 weeks to conclude. So yeah, Tapsoba is going to cost £60 million. With Leverkusen where they are now, we're going to have to pay a premium. I think Tapsoba would have cost £60 million in the summer when we were negotiating. That's why we went for the slightly cheaper option in Van der Ven. It looks like that's worked out well because he's been very good. But I don't see us spending 110 million on 2 centre backs in 2 windows. If we get a centre back in January, which we need to, absolutely need to, it'll be a loan deal or it'll be 15, 20 million pounds. It'll be that Caceres from Club America in Mexico. We've been linked with him for a long, long time. 7 million pounds, 8 million pounds because he plays in Mexico. 5'11", not really what we need, to be honest with you. I've never played in Europe, but hey, he's 7 million pounds. And Tar's supposed to cost 30 million pounds. He's slightly older, so 30 million pounds Newcastle are looking at him for. If Harry is involved, then so is his dog and a suspicious offshore account. As soon as you put Harry in there, you know something dodgy is going on. Levy can't be straight if he works with Lewis. Paratici, it can't be done, in my opinion, absolutely. I would never call a fan dumb. They just haven't seen Levy long enough. That's another way of looking at it. That's another way of looking at it. When you had it for 22 years, there's nothing at Spurs that surprises me. Levy is like Lou Carpenter, a used car salesman. I don't know who Lou Carpenter is. Sounds dodgy. Joe Lewis, the fossil Gordon Gecko. He's only going to get away with it because he's so old. Fossil Golden Gecko. FA stated they didn't deliberate then, and now they are revisiting. Pretty sure Levy will get the right representation to end it unless a new fraud is found. Could be multiple, but if it's an unlicensed agent, it probably is going to be a one-off. Crazy that you'd have an unlicensed agent for such a big move. Just dodgy as fuck, these people. It's clear we're seeing the end of the Premier League, which will lead to the Super League. That's nasty. That's nasty. And it will come back. The ESL probably will come back. They've restructured the Champions League next season, trying to prevent it from happening. I don't think that's going to change much. I think the ESL will be back, and that will kill football because it will turn into American sport. If it does, it's franchise football basically. It'll be NFL, baseball, basketball, where it will be a draft system, which is shocking. I don't mind watching a bit of NFL and basketball, but to reward the worst finishing team franchise with the first draft pick the following year is mental, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what it will be. It will turn into a franchise, Americanized sport. And the pyramid goes. There will be no promotion or relegation, which makes English football so unique. The quality still in the Conference League, in the National League now, League 2, League 1, Championship is incredible. Considering how small this great country is. And that'll be gone. I think it will happen at some stage. I would take relegation if Levy left. Philly, from his opinion out there. Remember, before we built the stadium and Levy had to acquire all the land, that one company that wouldn't sell burnt to the ground. Suspicious? That should be looked into. There's a lot of dodgy shit with this guy. Alice talks football at Man United. Alice talks football. A Man United fan now has the headline, Man United banned from Europe with a question mark. Okay, I haven't seen that. How many Spurs players will have written their contracts that they can leave the club if we get relegated? I don't think many, because it would never have really been an option. As a victim of Black Wednesday, I know Joe Lewis. No billionaire, it's clean cut. They've all trod on people on their way up. That's true. That is absolutely true. But the problem with Levy is he's conned his own fans as well. So fans will be desperate to get him out. The ones with brains will be desperate to get him out more than most other fans. Man United are as pissed off with the Glazers as we are. Actually, they're more pissed off with the Glazers than we are, Levy. But so high season ticket prices, an increase of single ticket prices 15% through the summer after finishing 8th. Like just this summer, I mean, gives himself a wage rise in January. Why would you announce giving yourself a wage rise? That's ridiculous. That's taking the piss out of the fan base. Just keep it to yourself. Because he already owns 30%. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Levy, he's only doing what he's only doing what Lewis tells him." Lewis has got fucking dementia. Probably, he's worse than Joe Biden. Doesn't know whether he's coming or going. Probably slipping up the plane and all up the stairs of a plane and in his own household. Hasn't got a fucking clue, Biden. Lewis is the same. Levy's in full control. He owns 30%. Levy's net value is 500 million. That's without Enoch selling the club. £500 million. Just Levy. Levy is in control. And these rises are crazy. Why would you announce a wage rise? I just don't get it. Let's not let Levy. So I guarantee he was the facilitator. Him and the Glazers were probably the facilitators of this situation, the Super League. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Very good afternoon, Ian Barron. What's happening? Everyone watching, I hope you're well and have a great day. Have liked, as normal. Good luck with your channel. Thank you ever so much. We've actually lost a like. We went up to 18, now we're on 17. Yeah, it is what it is. But please smash a like if you haven't already done so. I'm just going through the motions now. I think we all are. Sleepy Joe. We're supposed to be negative and toxic to think that, to see where the club's heading over the last few weeks after getting the injuries. And it was clear for all to see it's not negative or toxic to talk about the lack of depth given to us in the summer. It's reality, and reality is showing now. The other side of football, Sleepy Joe. The other side of football, I am a Darlington FC fan. Of course, you're the Darlington fan, Ian. When you come up, I was thinking, right, who does he support? Who does this boy support on the outside? And we'll probably have the Everton fan in soon as well, which is interesting. I can't remember, is it Steve-O or Richo? He always pops in, probably there now. So Darlington and Everton fan. And Everton fan's a good guy to talk to in this situation. Obviously, they got a 10-game ban. But as somebody put in the chat, we will have very good lawyers to get out of this situation, I'm sure. Daryl Denton, thank you ever so much for the super chat. You always put in super chats in. Really, really appreciate you, Daryl. And not a cheap one either, £10. Really appreciate it, man. Big up. WTP, the Premier League money has ruined English football because there are way too many teams like Spurs who just want to compete to get Champions League and Premier League money. Do you know what it is? With the new stadium, with the events and the concerts, the F1 track, fucking Skywalk, whatever it happens to be outside of football, we don't need top four anymore. We needed top four in the past for the money purposes, but we don't need it. We've got enough money generating outside of top four. That's why we haven't got top four in the last 4 years. We've got it 3 times out of 4. If we needed it, Levy would put more money in and we'd get top 4. It just doesn't need it. The only reason Levy wants us to be as high as possible in the league is that he doesn't get backlash from the fans. It's as simple as that. Doesn't need it. He doesn't really need to get into Europe, to be honest with you. That's just the way. We're not a football club anymore. Champions League used to be the target. That was bad enough, top 4. I don't even think it's top 4 now. I really don't. Thought about this a lot. Sleepy Joe Biden. Don't get me started on that guy. Hit the likes and subscribe to 2 of the best YouTubers, Tommy and Danny. Thank you, Philly. Appreciate it. There are too many teams in the Premier League that simply cannot compete to win the league, which makes it a pointless exercise. There are two. Yeah, I guess so. But to be fair, that happens in a lot of leagues. That is the case in a lot of leagues. It has to be said. Put him with Kelly, but yeah, Kelly was something around that caliber of player. Agree. 100 million defenders in one season. No, not happening. Exactly. Pink is at the stadium. I didn't know. You mentioned this on Tuesday's show. I wasn't even aware of it, Mark. Right, let's get this down for a second because there's more transfer rumours. This is just a tweet. But we've been linked to all of these players and all these players have been linked out. So this is Ty. I don't even know who Ty is. I know the Arsenal Ty. I don't even know what he is in the Twitter landscape as a Spurs fan. But Spurs fans, how would you feel about this transfer window? In Rafinha, Lloyd Kelly, Calvin Phillips, out, Lo Celso, Dyer, Hotspur. I'm going to put that straight to the comments. I'm going to put that straight to the chat. What do you think? That's the January transfer window. 3 in, 3 out. As I put there on the banner, I'm not sure. Right, let's start with Rafinha. I've already touched on Rafinha, as I said to a bishop. But no, I talked about him at the start of the show. Potential swap with Romero. I think Rafinha could come on a loan deal, like a Danjuma type short-term loan deal, but I don't think Barcelona would be up for that. They want £60 million or apparently Romero. So forget about Rafinha. But I love him. I think he's a great player, great to watch. Really, really exciting player, especially when he's on it. As I've said many times, him and Maximin, when they're on it, St. Maximin, they're incredible to watch. The most flary players. Lloyd Kelly from Bournemouth, that makes a lot of sense. I say if you're going to go middle ground centre-back, that does make sense. Homegrown, I think 25, 30 million pounds. I'm going to look at his transfer market value, actually. I'm going to quickly, 3 in, 3 out. Let's get this overlay off for a second. I'm going to look at his transfer market value. Let's get my iPad in. Trust the iPad. Look at Anderson's as well. So if I go to Crystal Palace transfer market, there's people talking about Anderson, people talking about Guahi. It's good to see, transfermarket.com are easily the most accurate when it comes to this sort of thing. Let's have a look. Let's start with Palace's centre-back. So Guahi is rated at £35 million. His contract is up in 2026 and he's homegrown. So Guahi, the rumours that he'd cost £60 million in the summer were probably correct, the English tax. I mean, if Maguire cost £80 million 5 years ago. Joshua Anderson's 27 years old, which will make him slightly cheaper anyway. He's rated at £30 million, got 2 goals this season. Contract runs out in 2026, so 2.5 years, that's not going to be a problem. Knows Hotspur quite well being Danish. I think Anderson will cost 50. I think Guahi will cost 60 if we're looking at those two. Now let's look at Lloyd Kelly. Very good player, very good with the ball at his feet. Can play left back as well, I'm sure. I think he's left footed. But only really seems to do great in the Championship. So he's rated at 18 million. He's a big boy. He's 1.9 meters. That makes him 6'3" minimum. He's not even starting all the time. He played 8 games in the Premier League. Let's see, 8 games in the Premier League. Let's see, 8 games in the Premier League. Let's see if he's been starting them. So yeah. So he's had injuries. So the 4 times that he didn't play this season were through injuries. One of the times he came on as a sub. So he only started 7 games for Bournemouth. Rated at £18 million. Let's look at his contract expires in 2024. His contract expires this summer. Makes a lot of sense then for Daniel Levy on the cheap. Like we did with Eriksen, when we sold Eriksen to Inter Milan, his contract was up that summer. They nicked him for £10 million. Maybe we can do that. If we nick Lloyd Kelly early before his contract runs out, I'd take him. Yeah, it says on here he can play left back as well. 25, contract running out. It ticks a lot of boxes. Makes a lot of sense actually. We'd get a loan deal in or a cheaper option. This would be it. Slightly underwhelming, but when Van der Ven and Romero ain't there, I'd much prefer having Lloyd Kelly than Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. It's as simple as that. I'm going to talk about team selection against Villa shortly. But that was just Lloyd Kelly. Calvin Phillips, I've said for a while. With Sarah and Basuma going out on loan, pick Calvin Phillips up. 6-month loan deal, optional fee. If you don't fancy him, don't give the optional fee. It'd probably cost an initial loan fee of about £3 million. Just get him in to cover Sarah and Basuma, Bentancur's injuries. Yeah, I think Calvin Phillips would be smart business. Out. Lo Celso, yeah, 100%. 100%. Just useless for Spurs. Absolutely hopeless. Eric Dyer, 100%, but 100% he isn't going. Hotspur, no. We can't let Hotspur go at this stage. I don't really rate Hotspur, but with the amount of sentiment injuries we have, and he's a leader in the dressing room, he has got a bit about him in terms of the leadership role. I'd keep him about. Certainly until the summer. If Sarim Basuma weren't going to the African Cup of Nations mid-January, I would look at selling Højbjerg if you're going to get Calvin Phillips in or even a Cam in. But at this stage, the whole situation, Son's going to be gone as well. I know he's a striker, it's not going to affect us, but we're going to lose a lot of leadership players, a lot of experienced players. So not in January. I know he's linked with Juventus, linked with Bayern Munich in last summer, heavily linked with Juventus. I think we're linked with some sort of loan swap deal with Juventus. Yeah, because we're linked with Cambiaso, their left back, who can play right back as well. Chiesa, which is up there with OSIMHEN, not going to happen. But Juventus are the heaviest linked party when it comes to Højbjerg. Dyer, I would pay. I would absolutely pay to get rid of Eric Dyer. I haven't got much money at all, but I'll tell you what, I would pay for his flight. He could go first class. He can have all the champagne he wants. I'll pay for all of it if it got him out of my club. I really would. Oh no, Bayern Munich was the big one, wasn't it? Bayern Munich was the biggest link again. Bayern Munich was the biggest link for Dyer. Højbjerg was linked with Bayern Munich in the summer. Yeah, so Dyer to Bayern Munich, please. That'd be great. Right. Let's see what people are saying. As I said, I'll try and keep this as interactive as possible. I don't think I've ever lost 4 or 5 likes. That's disappointing. We're on 13 likes. Please, if you haven't hit the like, please do. And if you took the like off, please put it back on. We need the likes to keep the channel rolling. It's the only way we can keep the channel rolling is with the subscribers and the likes. So please get that up. There's 80 people watching. There's no excuse for having 13 likes. Right. Pingers at the stadium. Ian, one of my old school friends is a Spurs season ticket holder. Travels from Darlington to every game he's done. The Skywalk. Oh, right. Oh, wicked Ian. Wicked Ian. Was looking at some facts. He was telling me about who are the young players that came through at Darlington. There was a few he was talking about, and you mentioned ex-Spurs player as well, which I wasn't aware of. Tottenham are just like a pill, keep making me ill. Sleepy Joe over a fascist. How can clubs compete? Yeah, it's not really... The politics right now is fucking insane, isn't it? The options at hand are not good. How can clubs compete, even if you're on the left or if you're on the right? If you're a socialist, if you're very right-wing, the options are limited. How can clubs compete if they have to stay within the boundaries of their club revenue? Such as Everton. Yeah, it's very, very true. It's very true. Any window where Dyer fucks off is a success. I'm with you there, 100%. Big up Mark Cousins. I'm not here for your entertainment personally. Just make me sick. Right. Donna's in. Philly, big up, sir. I don't know any more of the words, so that's only the tune you're getting. Leave you only sign a player who'd be cheap and on low wages in January window. Tommy, remember how much of a beast Enrico Chiesa? Enrico Chiesa is a forgotten man in that Parma team. Because it was Chiesa and Crespo up front. I remember the 2 C's at Parma when they were in their pomp. Turan at right back or centre back. Buffon in goal. I'm missing players out as well. Parma were incredible back then. Buffon, Turan. Fabio Cannavaro. Geez, they had some serious players. Oh, I loved Serie A in the 90s. That's when football wasn't taken over. Italian clubs are still in the stadiums that were built in 1932. And they don't own their stadiums. That's why AC Milan and Inter Milan don't have a great deal of money. They share the stadium, don't make any money out of it. Because they share it as well. It's getting used every other week. They can't put concerts in there. They can't do anything else with the San Siro. The best thing, the only way Italy will succeed and compete with the Premier League clubs is if they build a new stadiums. Same with Lazio and Roma. They share the stadium. The 90s Premier League Serie A football was great. The early 2000 football in England was great. I think Roman changed it. I think Abramovich 2003 when he just threw the money around the place. I think that was the time bomb. It was a ticking time bomb, and that it went off at that point, and things have never been the same. Man City was the worst because Man City had no right to be even in Europe, let alone winning league titles and winning Champions League titles, where Chelsea were always in and about the top 4 and winning domestic trophies. Man City's was the worst. I'd even allow Newcastle to. Newcastle are a big club, but but not Man City, the way they've done things. Big up Libby Togney is getting another pay rise on top of his annual Christmas bonus. Dye can leave on a free come January and can sign a contract with foreign clubs. I would let Dye go 6 months early. Oh, easily. I'd pay him to let him go for 6 months early. Clearly, Ange doesn't want him. He hasn't put him in any of the squads to start with. Even when he made the 9 changes against Fulham, which was very debatable, as we went out the Carabao Cup, he put Sanchez in front of Dyer, and then he was sold to Galatasaray. We know why he was sold over Dyer, because somebody came in with money for Sanchez. Nobody came in for Dyer. So this Levy has supported Ange, and he needs to support him in January. He hasn't supported him in one transfer window, I don't think, in his very first one. So he's not going to support him in January. Elias, what's happening? So any window where Dyer leaves is a success. Yeah, that's what people are saying, Elias. Here he comes. Here comes Elias. The man who's got Eric Dyer's back, even if you don't sign any defenders to replace him. I think people are looking at it that way, Elias, because I think a lot of people prefer to put Dorrington and Phillips in there, to be quite honest. How is it success? That's a problem with our fan base. We are too sentimental. But it's quite to stick him with Eric Dyer is quite sentimental, though, isn't it, Elias? Big up, just got here. Jeff, how you doing, my friend? What's up? Only Dyer leaving is no success. We need things that are better than him too. Serie A and its municipal stadium lost revenue from it. Yeah, exactly. Add to that, cheap Americans keep buying up Serie A clubs. They've done. Do you know what? AC Milan. They've done all right with AC Milan. They built them up and then sold them to another big franchise, didn't they? I can't remember the name, but AC Milan were growing, but they're always going to be on the back foot with the stadiums, not owning the stadiums. Tommy, he's starting 11 due to current circumstances, still over Phillips. Well, one game, and it's because we don't have any other options. Quite frankly, I think it's a bit of a non-conversation when you're saying if we get rid of Eric Dyer, not you yourself, Elias, just in general. Get rid of Eric Dyer is going to be a successful window. If we get rid of Eric Dyer, I think we can safely say we would get another centre back in. So we'd be all right. The American owners would be first to sell up for the Super League, 100%. Right. Where were we? I think we're at... we want to talk about the Villa game. What I'm going to do is... I'm going to put a lineup builder up here. See what people say. First up, Villa injuries. So, not too many for Aston Villa. It's great to have football again, just like non-international football, and that is it until mid-January. Now it's all club football. Fantastic. So Villa's injuries. Mings is definitely out. Left back Marino and Buendia, but that's it. John McGinn seems to be fine. So, almost a fully fit Villa squad here. It's a very good squad. I think they had a very good January transfer, very good summer transfer window. Probably the best. Martinez in goal, World Cup winner, huge. Pau Torres, great signing. Concert at centre-back. Torres and Concert have been very good at centre-back. Langlay's there. Can't get game time. Even with Mings injured, Langley can't get game time. He was pretty much first team for the majority of last season for us. No Marino, but even Digne at left back is more than good enough. They have depth. Even with injuries, they have depth. This January, all the transfer rumours with Villa is they're just doubling up on players, good players. They're looking at just improving the squad, where it's just, we're never doing this. Douglas Luiz, Kamara, Tielemans. Even Tielemans as backup in centre midfield is a good option. Ramsey, McGinn. This is just centre midfield. McGinn, Ramsey, Tielemans, Kamara, Luiz. Ramsey ran the show against us last season when he played us. I think in both games he was fantastic. He can't get game time. Watkins, Traore, Zaniolo, Bailey, Diaby in attacking rows. A lot of pace in that attack. Not a lot of pace in this defence. Are missing players. Vicario and Udogie could be out, but I've got a funny feeling both will be there. I'm sure Vicario will be there. Apparently it's like a flu or something. Not flu, a cold or a fever. he's the sort of player that I think with no legs, he'd still try and get on the pitch. Vicario, I don't see that being a big issue. But we know Romero is banned. This one and for Man City. Bissouma's got a one-match ban again. Long-term injuries: Solomon, Perisic, Maddison, VDV, Richarlison. The differences between the teams our squad is just woeful. But let's take a look at the team. I'm gonna add this now. See what people think. Let's increase it gradually. I mean, there's a debate that we might not even play. We might not play this formation 4-2-3-1. I think against Wolves, it was safe to say we played a flat 4-3-3. Højbjerg, Bissouma, and Sarr. We won't have that. We can't play that exact same centre midfield now. Bissouma's not there or with his ban. So this is what I would do. So first up, Vicario. I'm sure he'll be fit. If I can spell. Let's move this down a bit so we can see fully. Let's give this a title first of all. Spurs 11 versus Villa. Now, I'm going to leave the centre-backs till last. Now, Udogi's more 50-50 for me because he's already had injuries. He got burnt out in one of the games and had to come off early. He didn't start against Palace through injury. Ben Davies came in and was shocking. Then he was banned for a game, wasn't he? Yeah, he was banned. It was banned for the last game, wasn't he? Of course, after the sending off. So he's been in and out of the team, and he has been struggling with being burnt out and injured. So I think Vicario will definitely play. Udogi's more 50-50, but I'd probably say 70-30. And if he is 70% fit, Udogi, I'm playing him all day long. So it goes without saying, Porro. If Udogi isn't fit, I don't know. What would you do? I cannot stand Emerson. You just can't put Emerson there. Sarr starts. Papa Sarr starts. Centre midfield. Bentancur, for me, you play Bentancur in a flat three or to protect Bentancur even more and to stick with the formation that Ange has used so far, which is 4-2-3-1. I'll stick Bentancur here. I'll put him in the Camero. Both-footed, creative, scores goals for Spurs anyway. He never scored goals for Juventus or Uruguay, but he can play on the front foot. And the fact that he's both-footed, keep him out of harm's way a little bit because he's had these injuries. Brennan Johnson starts on the left for definite. He started on the Richarlison fit. He's still starting on the left without a shadow of a doubt. Kulusevski on the right. Kulusevski gets a lot of flack. Do you know what? I think he's been good. The last few games, I think he's been one of our better players by far. That's Chelsea and Wolves. His back flick to Porro for the opening goal, and Brennan Johnson got on the end of it. It was very good. Very, very good move. And of course, Son up front. Now, these are the contentious decisions now. I'm a fan of Ollie Skip. Not many people are. I understand this, but hear me out. Norwich got them promoted. Him and Max Aarons were their best players. They loved him down there. Got him promoted to the Premier League. First 3 or 4 months before he got injured, him and Son were our best players. Kane wasn't quite at it. He had the Man City links. His head went down. Skip was box to box, defensive mid, centre mid, and even I see him run down the right wing before he got injured. He done it all. He was out for 8, 9, 10 months. Come back into the first team again. This whole situation with Conte went down. Same with all the players. I mean, look how bad Romero looked the last 3, 4 months of last season. Skip, a lot of he got a lot to blame. A lot was put on Skip, and I just don't think that was right. And Skip and with Sarr there, if it was Bissouma fit and Sarr out, I'd probably put Højbjerg next to him. But Sarr and Skip were very good against AC Milan at San Siro. So I'm putting Skip in there. And you could even put Højbjerg at centre-back. you could even go like this. Dyer, I don't want Dyer. I really don't want Dyer. You can't search for players that don't have their names on this lineup builder. So I don't want Dyer at all, but what else can you really do? I'd put Dorrington here. Whatever happened, I I would prefer to put Dorrington and Højbjerg there. Let's get him out. Let's see how that would look. Dorrington and Højbjerg. This is a very good Villa team. Very fast, very strong Villa attack. That just goes to show how bad our depth is. And you could put Davies there. I mean, you've got a left back playing centre back, a centre mid playing centre back. That's the wrong Ben Davies, but still, you know what I'm saying. I think Højbjerg is so deep, tackles. He likes to tackle, so maybe you could go centre back. I'd probably put, I don't know, it's difficult. Ben Davies. Let's put Ben Davies, the actual Ben Davies, up. That's the bloody ex-Liverpool one. Why does his name keep coming up? What about Ben Davies? Here we go. I think Ben Davies is one of our better players against Wolves, so it'll be difficult not to put him in. Oh, lost the screen. It's so difficult at centre-back. Really, really difficult. What do people do? Let me know what you do at centre-back in the chat. Bloody hell, we've got 17 comments. 17 comments to get through. I don't know. I think I'll put Skip there, put Højbjerg next to Davies. That's a crazy team. But I'd rather that than Dyer. Or I'd have Davies and Dorrington. And then if you don't put Højbjerg at centre-back, maybe you do put him in for Skip. But Skip gets a lot of flack for being injured for a year. So much flack that boy gets. I don't understand it, really. It's like Ben Davies. Ben Davies got so much shit for the Palace game when Udogie was injured. Like, shocking, got subbed at half-time. And now he plays decent against Wolves, and he's the best thing since God knows what. Best thing since sliced bread after one game. Things change. Skip plays with 2 good games. Like, he's outstanding again. Such a fickle fan base. Crazy. Right, let's get through the chat. Let's put this down. Actually, I'll keep it up. See what people are saying. I might change things. Tommy's starting 11 due to circumstances still over. Phillips, big up. That's what I saw in the summer. Levy didn't back and probably. That's why I always maintain the summer was a 4. 4, that is harsh. That's very harsh. Emery has found his cover. Found his cover from injuries. That's decent cover. Really does. Even with Mourinho out. I mean, Mourinho and Digne, good options on that left-hand side. If Villa can't be a midfield of Sarr, Højbjerg and Skip, then the manager needs to have second thoughts about his management skills. They're only a point behind us, Villa, in the league table. We're 4th, they're 5th. If they beat us, they're in the Champions League spots. We're out. How quickly things change. We were winning the league, according to some, 3 weeks ago. Going to be out of the Champions League if we lose to Villa, which is very, very likely. I think what gives us a major upper hand is the fact that we're playing at home. And Aston Villa are very, very good at home. So that's definitely upper hand. And the fans have still been good. The fans are fully behind the team and behind Ange, as they should be. So we can make it a great atmosphere. This is why Conte to walk. I felt bad for him. Langley is back up at best, as demonstrated by Villa. Yeah, he hasn't played a single game. Watkins and Diaby charging at Dyer. Fucking just Diaby. I mean, Diaby's extreme pace at Dyer. But to be fair, what Dyer does is he just doesn't engage. He doesn't attempt to outbeat players for pace. He doesn't attempt to engage or tackle. So that's why people say he didn't play that badly, Dyer. It's because he doesn't do anything. He doesn't attempt to do anything. Just runs away. The whole spine of our team has gone against Villa. VDV and Romero out. Basuma and Maddison out, which means we're liking the Swiss cheese. And it looks like McGinn's fit. So McGinn, Douglas, Luiz, they've got fighters in there. They've got some real quality in there. Jacob Ramsey's more attacking, and I really, really like him. And he can't get too much game time. Tillemans as backup's fine. Villa not running with new injuries as we are. Sorry, but Langley is not better than Dyer. Langley's better than Dyer for me. Eric Dyer's not as bad as we make out. Look, even Bayer wants him. Apparently, without Maddison and Mick, it's pretty much last season post-November, dropping off half the points till Maddison and Mick gets back, dropping points over half the points. Do you know what? This is true. And against Wolves, this is what I saw. I saw a Conte team. It was a Conte team. Big up Elias, but just because Dyer is better than Langley doesn't mean that he's good. The fact that we as fans have suffered 10 years of watching mistake after mistake. I argue that. I refute that. I don't think, as I say, I don't think Langley's better than Dyer. I think Dyer's lower championship standard at best. I just feel fans exaggerate on how bad he is. Awful, Elias. Come on, see the light. When I see Eric Dyer, I ask myself what did I do in a previous life? I can't believe he's been there 10 years. It's literally just the language things that's kept him there. Hi from Leicester. Happy 27th birthday to James Maddison. Very much so. I didn't see that it was his birthday. Big up, David. Villa been losing away matches after getting their face smashed early on, playing behind early on, but a little pace by Villa will leave Dyer and Davis flat-footed and ball watching. Yeah, this is a very different Spurs team to the Romero and Van der Ven backline. That's for sure. And the fact that Maddison can come out with the ball and alleviate the pressure on the defence. If Maddison was fit with say Dyer and Davis at centre back, it would serve us. We'd still be good. We'd still be okay because he can make up for them by coming ultra deep and bringing the ball out, being creative. But without that creativity from Maddison and the poor centre backs, makeshift centre backs, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. I look at individual performances, I see the good parts and the bad parts of a player's game and call it how I see it. Leeds 2 seasons ago when Dyer stood there and watched Leeds run. That is exactly what he does in every game. Every game. Villa's best player is probably out in John McGinn with a knee injury. He picked up on international duty. It doesn't look like he's going to be out. I don't think he's going to be out, David. I've looked at the stories. It says he's going to be fit. Let's have a look. Transfermarket.com don't specify he's got an injury. He's their captain and a very, very influential one. Very good player. Right, it looks like he'd be okay. 2 days ago, it looked like he was going to miss the game, but now they're coming out saying that he'll be fit. I'd leave out Davis and Dyer and just park a bus in front of our goal. I would put Dorrington in. I definitely would try Dorrington, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame Ange if he doesn't. If he doesn't trust Dorrington, and he trusts someone that, let's face it, Eric Dyer's played over 200, 250 league games easily. Must have played over 300 games in all competitions and nearly 50 caps for Dyer, for England, for Dyer, which is crazy. But then look at who he had to compete with for England as centre mid back then: Jack Wilshere, Fabian Delph. And to be honest with you, he looked a lot better next to Dembele, Eriksen in front, and then the backline behind Dyer in those days: Toby, Vertonghen, Kyle Walker right back, Danny Rose in his prime left back, Lloris in his prime in goal. He got made to look very, very good. Dyer was our weakest player in the starting 11 in 15, 16, 16, 17 when we had our title challenges. I'm not just saying that now, not being captain hindsight. I said it at the time, way before I started streaming. I was thinking it at the time, way before I started streaming. And Wanyama showed it the following season, where he was fantastic, really, really good in there, but his injuries killed him. Davis would be an excellent championship player, but he's an average premiership player. Yeah, I mean, that's usually the case. Sporting Lisbon, where Marcus Edwards twisted Dyer like a pretzel. Leicester last January, we were unlucky not to concede more than 4 as Dyer was playing them one side. Man United, Rashford. Every game, Philly, if you look at the games in depth, because I used to be a defensive scout, so I like to look at the defensive side of things. If you look at it in depth, just every move, his positioning is shocking. His positioning is shocking, but he means to position himself where he does. He plays ultra deep to make up for the fact that he hasn't got the pace to come out and win tackles, and he hasn't got the ability to win tackles. He's so bad in the air as well, Eric Dyer. He gets to the ball, but if you look at his head in accuracy, where does he get his head to it? As a centre back, I used to play centre back. When you clear a header, you try and put it kind of in the direction of your teammate. Although it's not, if it's a last ditch header, it's not going to be perfect. But his headers just go all over the place, like most of the time going to the opposition. Should be his biggest strength, heading. His head's just, it's a meatball. It's a massive head, like Crichton from Red Dwarf, but it just doesn't work for him. The only paper that said he will probably be fit is local Birmingham newspapers. 2 days ago, I'm hearing that he's fit. I'm hearing that he's fit. BBC, says Emery's frustrated with the injury, but I'm not getting anything from at least 2 days ago. But on transfermarket.com, it's not showing that he's injured either. They've got good strength and depth anyway in centre midfield. As I said, they got just in centre midfield. They've got Douglas Luiz, Bobaku Kamara, Tielemans, Ramsey. They'd still be favourites, I'd say. And I think they'll win 2-1 or it'll be 1-1. You haven't drawn too many games this season. Law of averages. I'd take 1-1 to be quite honest with you. I'll just take the points on hand until Maddison gets back. Especially over the next 4 games. It's going to get tricky. Very, very tricky. Villa, Man City, West Ham, another derby. And then finally Newcastle, who, to be fair, do have a lot of injuries too. In short, Dyer has been found out. He certainly has. Right, this part of the show, I will be looking at the newspapers in depth, the rumor mill in depth. Some affecting Spurs, some not so much. So let's get this away now. Let's bring up our final segment. Here we are. Paper Talk and Rumour Mill. So, Wednesday and Thursday's football gossip, because I wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't doing a show yesterday. So, Portugal midfielder Ruben Neves, 26, is not expected to leave Saudi pro club Al Hilal in January amid links with Newcastle United. Is not expected. Ruben Neves, fantastic Wolves centre midfielder. But there are problems in Saudi Arabia. That's the Athletic reporting that. I take Neves all day long. On a cheeky loan deal. I talked about Calvin Phillips. I take Neves. Bernardo Silva has hinted he could try to persuade 19-year-old compatriot Juan Neves to join Man City despite Man United's interest in the Benfica midfielder. I think Bernardo Silva, I don't think you'd have to persuade him to come to Man City over Man United. This young Juan Neves. City's Portugal midfielder Silva, this is a lot about Silva and their Portuguese players in general today. Says he would like to return to play for Benfica before he finishes his career. That's CNN. Man United manager Erik ten Hag will not let French centre-back Raphael Varane, 30, leave the club until the summer window. That's the Sun reporting that. Because I know a few days ago it was revealed that Ten Hag was willing, Man United were willing to let Varane go in January. Would you take Varane in January? I would. But it's worrying that Maguire and Johnny Evans, who's about 50, gets in front of him week in, week out. This is a Real Madrid centre-back, first teamer, out-and-out first teamer, Champions League winner. What happened to him? Juventus are hopeful that 23-year-old Serbian striker Dusan Vlahovic will agree to sign a contract extension at the club despite interest from Arsenal and Man United. That's 90 Minutes reporting that. Back in the day, we were linked with Vlahovic. What a signing he would be. He would have been and would be. He's picked it up again this season, Vlahovic. I think Juventus are second. They're doing well in Serie A. Okay, Chelsea are hoping they'll be able to sell Belgium striker Romelu Lukaku next summer, with Roma keen to make the 30-year-old's loan move permanent. So he's at Roma at the moment, Lukaku. France forward Griezmann will not be joining Man United, and the 32-year-old's only focus is Atletico Madrid. That's Mr. Fabrizio Romano reporting that. Fulham will let Portugal midfielder João Palhinha, 28, leave to join Bayern Munich in January for less than 65 million pounds. For less than, why would they say that? So between 52 and 56 million pounds, Fulham would let him go for. The club originally wanted. Oh, right. So the club originally wanted 65 million pounds, but now they'd take between 52 and 56 million pounds. He's 28, so he's no spring chicken, but he's a phenomenal player. When we played Fulham, their two best players were Willian and Palhinha. He's a great player. But no, Bayern Munich want Eric Dyer. Let's not sign Palhinha. Let's get Eric Dyer because he can play centre mid too. Crazy. He's a very, very good operator, Palhinha. People say just for his defensive work, but he can spray it around. And I think he's first team for Portugal in the starting 11, which is no easy feat. Right now in that league. Bayern Munich, Spanish goalkeeper David De Gea has made it clear he does not want to join the Saudi Pro League club, but the 33-year-old could move to Major League Soccer in 2024. Bayern Munich, are pushing to sign Japan defender Takehiro Tomiyasu next summer. next summer, but Arsenal do not want to let the 25-year-old go. That's a random one, isn't it? That's up there with Eric Dyer, although I much prefer Tomiyasu than Eric Dyer. We nearly signed Tomiyasu. But we just, I don't know what we're doing with Asian defenders, but we seem to make wrong choices when it comes to them. Kim Min-jae, we had 2 opportunities to sign in. Tomiyasu is a good, versatile player. We refused to sign him. He went to Arsenal instead. The delay of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's proposed minority takeover at Man United has increased fears at Old Trafford that the club's January transfer plans could be ruined. That's the Mirror. Some Man United players believe the team's poor start to the season was caused by manager Erik ten Hag overworking the pre-squad in pre-season. Overworked. Everyone complaining about being overworked. So what? It's supposed to be overworked. You're on 200, 300, 400 grand a week. You should be able to take it. Hate this overwork, refusing to do double sessions. We saw this with Pochettino in the summer before he left. A lot of the players apparently refused to work double training sessions. And I hate the power the players have over managers, especially these days. Liverpool Spanish midfielder Thiago Alcantara, 32, is among the options Barcelona could consider as they look to replace injured 19-year-old Spain international Gavi. Yeah, because Gavi's out for 3 months, I believe. Tottenham, back to Tottenham. That was 90 minutes reporting that. Tottenham's Argentinian midfielder Lo Celso has also emerged as a loan option for Barcelona. He was back in the summer as well. There were links for this to help out with this Gavi injury, who are unlikely to look for a permanent replacement for Gavi, despite receiving up to £6 million in compensation from FIFA following his injury on international duty. Is that a thing? Barcelona got £6 million compensation from FIFA following his injury on international duty. Is that a thing? I knew there was money involved sometimes, but £6 million? That's crazy. That's crazy. Can you give us £6 million for injuring Lo Celso, please? And I'll go out, I'm injuring myself. That's mad. But I'll tell you what, the Rafinha for Romero rumours, give him Lo Celso. Lo Celso, and we'll take Rafinha. Lovely. Arsenal could allow Portuguese midfielder Fabio Vieira to join French club Marseille on loan. He's a little bit like Brian Gill, that Vieira fella for Arsenal. He's like 9 stone wet through, probably not made for the Premier League. There's a lot of truth to that. Arsenal do a lot of business with Marseille. But they loaned Saliba there, who was great. Vieira could be going there. I think they sold a lot of their players there. Kolasinac, Guendouzi. Do a lot of business with Marseille. Where did their striker go? Who's the striker? Lacazette? Did Lacazette go Marseille? I think he did. And Juventus and Brazil centre-back Gleison Bremer says he's keen to play in the Premier League. Come to Spurs. We'll have you, Bremer. We'll take you, Bremer. That's another one that could happen on the relative cheap. £30 million. Well, it's cheap in a whole scheme of things. It's not cheap for Levy, but I'll take Bremer. Then you've got Serie A Defenders of the Years, 2 years on the bounce in your team. Bremer Romero. I don't know whose last season's was. So 2021 was Romero, 2022 was Bremer. Who's last year's Serie A centre-back of the year? Someone find that for me before we go. The FA says, that's the Telegraph reporting that Bremer wants to play in the Premier League. The FA says it is prepared to review evidence of potentially serious breaches of agent rules in the transfer involving Tottenham Hotspur, Portsmouth and Jermaine Defoe. And striker Jermaine Defoe at the Times. We know that. I've talked about it a lot already. Finally, Liverpool are leading the push for the Premier League to resolve Manchester City's financial fair play case. Of course they are. They're direct rivals. That's Football Insider. Right, I'll go through the comments for one last time. Before I do, please make sure you smash that like before we go today. We're only on 17. Get it to 20. I know the people coming in and out of the show. It would be wonderful if we can just get it to 20 likes. That'd be fantastic. Tommy, I'm disappointed. Where's your dessert? I don't know what you're getting at there. My memory is shocking. Dyer's, what was I doing at that point? Dyer's biggest weakness is that he just doesn't sense danger, and is not proactive. I call him the statue. Because he knows he can't do it though, David. He does it on purpose. He's got bad defensive awareness anyway. But he knows he's not capable. So he just runs off, stays as deep as possible, and hopes that he might make a block or a free header, get the ball out. His biggest strength is probably with the ball at his feet. So if you can somehow get the ball at his feet, because he did play centre midfield, he can sort of find a pass. Not a long square pass, just a pass. I can't think of any strengths for Dyer. I just can't. That's his biggest strength. He can complete short passes. Tommy, mate, celery agent, what's happening, my friend? I've heard rumours that the young Argentine striker is unhappy and wants to move. Veliz, I've heard that Veliz is, he's looking at, there could be a loan move involved, which is crazy because he's the only natural striker in the squad. I know Son's doing a very good job there, but he is the only natural one. If Spurs had common sense, I would look to do a part exchange with Lo Celso and Rafinha. Exactly that. But I think Barcelona are not deluded enough to swap Lo Celso for Rafinha. I think they'd still prefer Rafinha. Like I said, went back. Oh, of course, yeah, he went back to Lyon. Yeah, he went back to Lyon. Probably one of the best things they ever done, to be fair, Arsenal. But they've still fucked up the striker position. But why they've still got Nketiah out there, as delighted as I am, he scored a hat-trick a couple of weeks back. He's fucking shocking. And they're not going to win the league with Lacazette with Nketiah out there, not in my opinion. Your dessert, like in Gazzetta. Oh, right. Oh, right. Yes. Oh, I haven't. Do you know what? I had a coffee at the start, and it's a black coffee. Not quite an espresso, but if you saw me at the start of the show, you'd have seen it, man. I can't remember if you were at the start of the show. You was. Oh, you was, wasn't you? You was. But yeah, you were the one that we were, Benjamin. We were talking about it before, and I absolutely adored that show. If Dyer is beaten for pace by the likes of Rashford and Isak in a low line, now pushing forward, what happens? God knows. He's the decision which we have to make again for this Villa game on a Sunday are just atrocious. Decisions that no club should have to make, and it was clear as day that down the line we would have to make these centre-back decisions because Van der Ven is going to get an injury. He's so explosive, fantastic, but his hamstring's going to go. And his hamstring went last season. Romero's going to get injuries and potentially bans. More injuries than anything else. He only started 19 games in the league, half the games in his first season. Romero's always struggling with injuries. We needed the depth. So the ridiculous rotation options that we're choosing between is insane when I looked at my lineup list there. The fact that Dyer is almost certainly going to play is madness. Because Ange clearly didn't want him. Next time I expect to nick a block of glory on the table. Yeah, I can just remember him having something. I love my egg custard tarts. So next time on my solo shows, it's only on a Thursday around this time, 11 a.m. I might have an egg custard tart and an espresso. Right, that wraps up today's show. Let's get this off. Let's put this there. We're on 22 likes. Thank you ever so much. It's always good to get to that 20 mark, especially this being a difficult time. So I appreciate that. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Big up to the chat. Daryl put a very generous £10 super chat in earlier. That helps the channel as well because not just the money, but it helps the algorithms, gets the channel growing. And it's not free to do this, believe it or not. It costs about £89 a month, but that's a whole nother subject. I'll do it for free. It doesn't matter. As long as I can get in the chat and talk to you lot. Right. Peace out, everyone. 2 final comments. As I said, try and make this as interactive as possible. Benjamin Foster, love me custard tart. Oh, beautiful. They've got to have the right amount of crispiness on top, though. Peace out. Stay classy, Lily Whites.